Good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to proceed with the previous recording that HH with the open grave for Lungu and CYRIL Ramaphosa in a boiling water. These two issues are quite imminent and they need the attention not only of me as an evangelist or a messenger of God that received revelation concerning these things that are happening, in which I stated that I saw that there was no king to unite Zambia, to unite the people, and there was no king that would gain respect. So to CYRIL Ramaphosa, I actually talked about the protest for him to resign on allegation of Palapala, and also the allegation of corruption, in which he's faced with international arrest as a boiling pot because CYRIL Ramaphosa refused the warning. Even the time when I wrote to him the letter to CYRIL Ramaphosa, you can Google it on my Facebook page. You find it. I actually warned him to say, you actually find yourself, if you don't listen to God, you find yourself in the same cell with Zuma. These protests of corruption, they're actually suggesting that even Zuma's case need to be investigated, because the corruption of CYRIL Ramaphosa is linked from the time of Zuma's leadership, when CYRIL Ramaphosa was vice president, with the international criminal list, where even Mbalula linked the WhatsApp discussion between CYRIL Ramaphosa and those tender issues where corruption is cited. Also, when I look to President Hakainde Hichilema, who is entangled with also an audio that was linked, that he sent Chavinga to come and bribe judges here in South Africa regarding the burial of Edgar Lungu, puts Hakainde Hichilema on a trick situation. He has been exposed, and everyone who listens to that audio knows how corrupt Hakainde Hichilema is. A sign of rejection of God's warning, where I told Hakainde Hichilema to say, can he involve me in this issue if he wants to unite the country? But I think money can unite the country, as they are organizing the progressive forces here to protest with a list of allegations against Edgar Lungu. Where can they get those allegations when they are not there in their reach? And Edgar Lungu is innocent, because I want to state it this way for Hakainde Hichilema to realize, with respect, that Edgar Lungu persecuted him. He was arrested 15 times. To revenge of what Edgar Lungu did is actually sin before God. It creates Hakainde Hichilema to be evil than Lungu, because Lungu was deceived that he can stop HH from winning by doing all what he was doing, but it ended up giving you, Hakainde Hichilema, a vote of sympathy, and you won. You are supposed to forgive him for any wrong that he did. Today, the government of UPND claims that Hakainde Hichilema claims that Hakainde Hichilema is a good president. Under Edgar Lungu, people died, missed, and so forth. But the people, according to reports, the people that are missing, the people have gone in exile. Under Lungu, I think a few bishops were deported. I think among the people that went into exile, it's only my family. But under Hakainde Hichilema, there are many opposition leaders who have fled the country. They have gone into exile. Even Lungu himself is in exile. He died in exile because he was using a passport which is not his, because he was escaping from the wrath of Hakainde Hichilema, who denied him medical access. And also, there's J.J. Banda, who is in exile. There's also Mwamba. All these people like Mwamba and Edgar Lungu, they persecuted me when I was back home. They are also in exile. So now, when I look at other lists that I don't have of people that are in exile because of Hakainde Hichilema, there are too many as compared to Lungu. So I want to say that Hakainde Hichilema is being backed by EU, America, IMF. All those loans are just meant to make Zambian think that he is promising a change which cannot be there because it has been written. So I browsed through this letter. For some of you who may not have an opportunity to watch the first one, the first part, I'll just reflect this letter to the camera so that at least you can capture it, or perhaps you can pause your TV and read through and understand the first page. I actually continued to read this letter, which it has preface of President Rupia Banda, who was the fourth president in rejection of the where God foretold that he was going to announce 2 book of condolences. And indeed, this prophecy was fulfilled amicably. This letter was actually saved to, let me check. This letter was actually saved to former President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Okay? So, but this letter is a witness that God spoke in advance, and it was signed. Let me say who signed this. Yeah, the one who signed, received and signed by Mwape Chishiva. Mwape Chishiva. So I want to believe that Mwape Chishiva is one of those that are hearing. I listed the visions that were fulfilled. To be brief, because the first introduction of this letter, I took 1 hour. Now, what I've already said, I'll just say one statement. I talked about the rise of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the rise and the fall of Chiluba, and the succession by John Paul II, who is going to form the mark of the beast prophecy. So we are in that stage of the mark of the beast process because, one, the Christian Nation Declaration, as in 1991, FTJ Chiluba government, which was 2, is a fulfillment of the mark of the beast, installing the strength of the power of the Catholic Church, which has been embraced by UPND. When UPND says that I'll look unto the church for guidance, how to rule the country, it actually means that the symbol of the UPND party, which was seen in 1999, it was actually 1997, 1999 visions, where I saw Hakainde Hichilema, who is supported by the Vatican, which is the Pope. Also, we talked about Martin Malachi, who actually says that the internationalists and the transnationalist, meaning that every business transaction that is going around, every agreement which is made by presidents in privacy, it all surrounds on the center of forging legal agreements, pact between nations and between blocks of nations, or to establish one agenda, the Pope, to be the masterminder controlling our economies, controlling the peace of the world. Even the BRICS, it might be part of that agenda, but if it joins in the core of one Africa under Ibrahim Traoré, that opportunity is phased off, because Traoré has addressed the Pope head-on collision and told him to say, let him not hide in the church, because he has been sidelined with our imperialists, the former colonial masters. So we looked 2, 3 on the prophesied third term. I told Chiluba to say, I saw you erecting a grass-thatched house in State House. When you are about to commemorate it by cutting the ribbon, the wind blew it off. So the wind blew the third term, and Chiluba confessed about it. He was fighting the prophets of the rise of the UPND to power. And the same way, Hakainde Chilema repeating the same mistake of fighting the PF, because there's a prophecy that PF has to be restored. It is also a sign of him digging the what? The grave for himself, as Chiluba did. He died in fulfillment of the visions of the Red Sea predicament. Number 4, I talked about the Obama, the prophets of the rise of Obama, the predicted pigpen predicament. You know, pigpen predicament is eating what? Eating the crumbs, the food that is being served for pigs. I'm referring to the prodigal son, those who are familiar with the scripture. The prodigal son got in his inheritance and went and blew up the money and ended up being hired to feed the pigs. And he had no food. He started eating the same food of the pigs. So now, rotten food that is picked from where? Food that is picked from garbages or from dusty bins and so forth, from garbage collectors. So now we see this system of Obama that was actually followed by the new king. Who is this new king? This is Donald Trump, who has actually cut the aid because he wants to put Zambia and all African countries and South Africa into the pigpen predicament. By cutting aid, it is exactly the fulfillment of this broader vision. I want to say that all this, I'm proving that God is speaking through visions and dreams, with the knowledge that UPND and American African base, they are after my life, because the visions and dreams, they are exposing their intention of building a base there to protect mines as though they are theirs, whereas they are us. They are supposed to benefit us. Right now, as I'm speaking, I heard news that America has finally signed the deal with the DRC Congo to own the largest mine that produces elements that make electrical cars. So meaning that Africa has to pray extremely hard, because in the United States of Africa, Congo is needed. In the United States of Africa, South Africa is also what? Needed. So now, here we go. I also talked about the prophets of the rise of Donald Trump canceling all aid in fulfillment of the prophets that I made, which I wrote in 2001 in this book, the first volume, The Airport Trap. I also talked about Chiluba. 2002 as number 5. That Chiluba's arrest of 2002, I think I ended up here. That's where my recording cut. So I'll start from there. I was actually reminding President Lupia Banda, who was the 4th president, to say God foretold 2002 Dr. F.T.J. Chiluba's arrest for national plunder of national resources in fulfillment of what I called him Akan of today. He ordered for my arrest on 4th May 2002, and on 4th May 2007, the London High Court judgment found him guilty of plunder in national resources in fulfillment of this prophecy. This was possible because he rejected the warning by dribbling the purpose when he rigged the 2001 elections. After ordering for my arrest, I said, whether I'm arrested or not, there is no peace in your goings. Letter dated 7 May 2002, which I wrote to Chiluba. So now, you see what? When Chiluba ordered my arrest, the famous Emmanuel Mamba, who actually is on the helm of campaign but well in exile, the time when he was arresting me with his boss, he never thought that he was also going to run for his life. As I'm speaking right now, the UPND government, they see, because America is backing them, they think that they are on top of the world. They'll never run for their lives after their end of term. And right now, if you know very well that all governments that are backed by America, that have influence, their influence is backed by America, they can rule for over 30 years without them being removed out of power, without them following the 2 terms constitutional rules. And that's the reason why Siawan is saying that HH will rule until Jesus Christ comes, because they are attempting to change the Bill 7 in order for HH to appoint many other ministers for them to continue ruling using the law, but in a corrupt way, by numbers. So now, even when Chiluba rigged the election in 2001, whilst he was fighting that UPND must not come into power, we see UPND coming into power as God prophesied under the support of who? Of the Pope. That was the main subject that that God gave me to warn the UPND. I'll repeat again to say, UPND president, I talked to him in 2008 and 2018 and warned him against this partnership, to say it is going to persecute people, it is going to kill people, it is going to bring slavery, and the Zambians are suffering. There is hunger, but Hakainde Chilema busy saying, kwenyu, kwenyu, whatever they do which does not benefit people, benefiting investors, they say kwenyu. I want to tell you to say, Zambia is heading to economical slavery seriously if they don't heed to this warning. If Hakainde Chilema does not change his mind and call for a United States of Africa, Zambia, and any other African country that does not want to listen to this call, they'll end up suffering, being kicked like dogs by the white people, because white people have come now full force to inherit what they were denied by the Pan-African fighters. 7, I talked about the PF 2007, the PF UPND Pact was reviewed to me, and I actually told Hakainde Hichilema and Sata about the vision which I saw him standing on the other side, Sata standing on the western side where there's a big fire, hitting his chest that I'll be president no matter what it takes. Also Hakainde standing the other side, he says no matter how long it will take, he'll be president. I understood that Hakainde Hichilema was giving in space for Sata to rule before he comes into power. And by so doing, it was actually confirming to me to say, even the coming in of Michael Sata, I even told him, Michael Sata, let's pray, let's have 90 days national prayer so that your leadership can be able to fight this frog that killed who? Manawasa. And he killed who? Chiluba. He did not accept. He died in rejection of the 90 days prayer meeting. Also, the same person that I was writing this letter to, Lupia Banda, died in rejection of protecting God's ministry by obeying what God says. So today I'm also warning to say the death of Sata, which was followed by the death of Lungu, and now Lungu is having 2 graves. The other open grave in Zambia, it has only one president because that is a presidential burial place. Once the family buries Lungu here in South Africa, that graves awaits for Hakainde Hichilema, which is not a traditional culture for an African to have his grave dug in advance, meaning that it is a sign of that fire where we gathered with Sata on the west. The fire was lit on the funeral of what? Of Sata. He died. Also the fire, the same fire, will be gathered for Hakainde Hichilema if he does not listen to what God tells him. If he listens, he comes out from being a puppet to America, from being a puppet to Vatican City, and be a puppet to God by revoking the sale of the mines to the betterment of the economy of Zambia. I don't see anything that is good for him to remain in the State House. If he fights God's vision, he will die as all these other presidents. Maybe if Zambia sees 7 graves, that's when Zambia, they will accept to say there's a God who speaks in heaven. I'll repeat to tell you to say, when Elijah declared the 3.5 years, was he a witch? When Samuel was to be brought to life, it was after his declaration came to pass. When King Ahab thought there was no one who is going to threaten his life was threatened. He said to the witch, can you resurrect Samuel? I want Samuel to tell me to say, can I go and win in this battle? And the witch performed these miracles, like the seer ones that are performing their miracles, but they cannot see that whatever they are telling Hakainde Hichilema is going to the grave early if he rejects the warning from God. As all these 6 presidents rejected, they are going to they are in the grave. Kaunda was supposed to live more than 100 years. But when he started the Children of Africa Foundation, according to God's instructions, his life was stronger. But when he listened to the SDA lies that I'm a false prophet, and he refused to meet me further, I went to exile when Kaunda was aware that the prophecies that God foretold in his life, the death of his son, was in fulfillment of the warning that he rejected to step down from active politics. And finally gave in 1999 upon realizing that what I was saying was coming in future. When I foretold about his shooting in Kabwe, his shooting of his car at his residence, finally the shooting of his son at the doorstep of his house in Kablonga, it was actually a warning for him to step down. He eventually stepped down and gave out his position of UNIP. If UNIP wanted to go back to power, they are going to consult the same power that reviewed the fate of the former president, Kaunda. If MMD wanted to go back to power, they were supposed to start to ask what made Chiluba to die. If they recognized that power, today MMD was going to have returned into power because it was going to have a solution to Zambia. And that solution was going to save Zambia from economical slavery. If PF wants to return into power, it must ask what led Sata to die, what led LUNGU to die. PF was going to return to power. If Tonse is a plan B for PF to return to power, it won't give the answer of the Zambians that is needed without asking God. Even if they still have the idea and the agenda of claiming back the mines, it is not easy without the protection of God. They cannot protect themselves without God. Campaigning and the promises, they are too far difference from the protection that they can get from God. They need a life-changing prayer. Hence, in their place, I've asked for Emmanuel Kasonde, who was partially, I'm saying partially, because I'm still waiting for Kasonde to seek God's protection for him to succeed. I know I've gathered information. Kasonde is not there on the ground to meet the people of Zambia, but what is on the ground is the message that Kasonde it supports Ibrahim Traoré. Is the message that I'm talking about. But if anyone who can agree with that message that God is saying that we need to unite as Africa in order to preserve true worship, in order to restore the actual weekly cycle of the moon, not Saturday as the 7th day, not Sunday as the first day of the week. It's a Gregorian calendar which forms the mark of the beast. Those that keep Saturday as a Sabbath, they have already received the mark of the beast. Because the changing of time, as prophesied in Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, was fulfilled by Constantine, removing the 10 days. By dropping the 10 days and by dropping the week from the moon cycle, it all equaled to a lost time that I've been also observing as Saturday Sabbath, whereas God revealed to me to say it was a wrong Sabbath. What is it that shall make you believe? It is this evidence that I'm actually bringing to you to say God revealed all these things and they came to pass. Let me proceed by saying the death of Michael Sata was in fulfillment of prophecy. The death of LUNGU was in fulfillment of prophecy of taking the cigarette from LUNGU. And the one who is going to take over from Michael Sata, from LUNGU, is also faced with death. And this is who Hakainde Chilema. And the one who is going to take over from Hakainde Chilema, if he does not avail himself for this power that reveals the future, is also going to go in the grave. I'm just adding a point of emphasis, because this is the reason why I'm alive today, to warn the country, Zambia, that you are faced with losing a president again. Zambia will remain without a king. So what is it that I'm actually saying? I'm also warning South Africa to say, my presence here builds a port of the network that God uses to share with me the warning of enslavement, economical slavery, which now is cooking to arrest CYRIL Ramaphosa. CYRIL Ramaphosa can only be saved if he listens to me, if he listens to what God speaks through me. Let me proceed. I went further to say, this is point number 6. I said 2008, the late Levi Mwanawasa's death is in fulfillment of the vision of 10 March 2012, and it was fully interpreted in the letter of 27 May 2007. This fulfillment was meant to pave way to the rise of the purpose through the open palm government. This is where I can say, when God speaks, he doesn't make any mistake. There are many prophets who told Brigadier General Mianda that he was going to be president. Also, Nevas Mumba, the former vice president of MMD, who is MMD president today, also said that God revealed to him that he will be president. He has never been president. In the fulfillment of this vision, where I say, whatever the death of Chiluba, who was fighting Mwanawasa, it was paving way for the visions of the open palm government. The open palm government in reference to UPND government. And UPND government is in power, on which Nevas Mumba is part of the partnership of the government. Maybe that was the prophecy in fulfillment which he made, that is not serving as president. If former vice president Nevas Mumba feel to be insulted by referring that his prophecy failed, may he forgive me, but that is the truth. I'm not breaking our friendship, but I'm simply stating a fact that God has stood the test of time. The fulfillment of UPND in government was foretold in 1997. 1999, it was a repetition. And today, UPND is in power. Even when in 2021, I also posted on my Facebook, assuring that UPND shall come into power, but shall come under the Pope. And after posting that, it took only a few weeks, I was arrested and aiming to be killed. Perhaps those who are supporting UPND, they are the ones that are after my life, because I'm exposing that Vatican in this part of politics, it is not doing it in good faith. It is doing it to enslave us. Vatican, in caring for the needy, is a front face, which is false, so that everyone could love it because it is providing food in crisis, whereas it is the one behind forming the same what? Crisis, creating the same crisis. In another video, I gave an illustration to say a certain man organized people to burn the widow, who was to burn the widow's house on the neighborhood, because this widow resisted love affair with him, and he left his home, going to a foreign country abroad, so that when he comes back, he finds the house has been burnt. And by showing love, gesture of rebuilding the house, buying the furnitures and so forth, it gave him access to that widow, because the widow could not reject the proposal because of the amount of money that he invested in it. So this is how all these foreigners who are white people, when I refer to foreigners, I'm not like a South African who says a Zimbabwean is a foreigner in South Africa, or a Malawian is a foreigner in South Africa. I'm not like that. When I say foreigner, I'm referring to our investors who come in the name of investors. They burn our economy by making our kwacha lose value, by making our rands lose value, by making our African currency lose value. And when they come with the donor aid, after getting our resources on an amount which is a lost value, meaning that they are getting our resources for nothing, for free. When they say they have paid $1 billion, they have not paid $1 billion, because that billion is subjected to US dollar, with 1 billion is 25 billion US dollar. So that means you are giving them 24 billion for nothing. If $1 is bought by 24 kwacha or 26 kwacha, if $1 here is bought 18 rand, meaning that when they say we've paid you $1 or 1 billion, that means they have gotten how much? 17 billion of rands extra, 25 billion of kwacha extra, meaning that we are giving them for free. We are in slavery. That's the reason the other time I watched a video of the white people stepping on a cake, whilst an old man coming out of his hut here in Africa without food, hungry, thin, looking miserable. But those in Europe, they are celebrating, eating, playing with anything. When they come to you, you are there begging. CYRIL RAMAPHOSA going to America to go and plead, please don't stop aid, otherwise you are going to die. A symbol of being slaves. Why should we beg? Africa should not beg anything from America. America must beg from us. But we have been fooled. They come here as investors. They are organizing all these protests against CYRIL RAMAPHOSA in the name of foreigners, in the name of corruption. Mukwanazi's score that the police is corrupt is right. That the judiciary they are corrupt is right. That the correctional service they are corrupt is right. That the politicians they are corrupt is right. But when Mukwanazi is making a clerical call, those who are against Ramaphosa, instead of Ramaphosa putting in order to fight that corruption, they also raise against him. That is part of those corruption. So that when Ramaphosa falls, when I repeat on this emphasis, it is the reason why God raised me to come and tell you to say, Africa must unite with Ibrahim Traoré. Ibrahim Traoré is our Moses. If Ramaphosa, you are listening, put the state of emergency in place. South Africa must be under the state of emergency, and bring in Traoré to help you calm the situation. Arrest everyone who is implicated in corruption, and make sure the country is in order, and call for a United States of Africa. Then Africa shall benefit from that decision. If the Zambian president is listening now, I'm saying, can you put Zambia under the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, you being a governor, so that we can earn from the natural resources? This president that I'm referring into this letter, they died because they refused to listen to me. Paving way for your leadership, which your leadership has no mercy. 2009, I actually talked about President Obama's race to power shall usher the third world countries to serve as economical slave under the Antichrist rule. As a change we can believe in, this change has blindfolded all those who are enemies of America's political struggle to unite the world through the fight of terrorism. This union shall not spare any nation under the earth. A former Jesuit, Malachi Martin, who worked close with John Paul II, disclosed in his book that willing or not, ready or not, we are all involved. The competition is about who shall establish one world system of government that has ever existed in the society of nations. It's about who will hold and wield the dual state, that is state and church power of authority and control over each one of us as individuals and over all of us as a community. No one can be exempted from its effect. No sector of our lives will remain untouched. The key of his blood, page 15. You can Google yourself. If this book is not found on Google, a friend in America provided me this book, and you can also have access to it. This system that Malachi Martins talked about, I agree with Malachi Martins 100%, because I was shown the Pope pulling the strings of a dual power of authority, meaning that the state and the church, the union of state and the church is the Pope. What we call globalization movement is for the Pope. What you call geopolitics is Pope's agenda to rule. Then Malachi Martins critically says, willing or not, ready or not, we are all involved. The competition is to establish who? Vatican as the supreme power across the world. And this war, these wars that are happening in Africa, they are actually sponsored by our natural resources. The bullets, copper, that is being used in the guns, it is coming from Africa. Zambia has the largest supplier of copper, is the one that is being used to kill ourselves. If Africa is united, the war will cease, and refugees and asylum seeking within Africa, it will come to an end. And someone will lose business. 2010, I said, Pope politics rule is in sight. It is in fulfillment of the 1990 prophecy as assigned, as signified by Forum for Political Parties, Edwin Sakala's petition to the Roman Catholic Church against Zambian clerks' synthetic attacks on the current MMD regime, the post-Zambia of February 4, 2020. I actually quoted Edwin Sakala, who petitioned the Catholic Church to come and actually solve the attacks against MMD. I said the recognition of the Pope as a peacemaker is a fulfillment of the vision of 1990. The Pope was ruling on Zambia as early as MMD government, which seeks the promotion. I remember talking to Mwenda, EF leader for Zambia. I said the call for the Pope to help on the brutal leadership of Hakainde Hichilema. You are just wasting your time. You should not ask the Pope's help, because Hakainde Chilema is the baby of the Vatican. And the Vatican, by saying it's not involved, the priests, the Catholic priests saying they cannot speak because they were called names by the Catholic, by UPND, they know too well it's a trick, that you must not associate the suffering with the Catholic Church. They are trying to refrain. It's a camouflage to disassociate Catholic, whilst they know that Catholic is behind the suffering, because they have actually put in place the AFRICOM, the soldiers of America in their place to put peace by silencing everyone that speaks. When they say they are not involved, they are actually involved, because HH entered partnership with Pope Francis. The poisoning of Pope Francis to come out of the scene. I know social media has reviewed that the doctors to Pope Francis, they told him to say, don't go back quickly to Vatican Hospital. They'll kill you. Because his suffering was from poisoning. He achieved already his work. He must leave, so that the partnership with Zambia can lose ground. So that Zambia, when it's suffering, they know that, oh, Pope Francis has forgotten us. This Pope is from America, of cutting aid. So don't expect aid from the Pope, because you already gained the ground. Just expect suffering, which I said, the pigpen what? Predicament. After Obama, the leadership that shall come shall be of pigpen predicament, which is the Donald Trump, the new king, who has come with new immigration laws, which is the same that happened to Joseph. When Joseph was a president, was a governor, so to say, when the Pharaoh that knew Joseph died, a new Pharaoh came in with new immigration laws, which identified Joseph as a foreigner. I'm so shocked that even Donald Trump is also identified to be a foreigner who came there through illegal means. His wife also. The three of the wives of Donald Trump, they are also identified as illegal immigrants who just obtained citizenship after being there for 10 years. So exactly what was happening in where? In Israel. It is happening today in exactly what I wrote in this book. I quoted page 99 and page 90 and page 100 of this book of the new king that shall rise after Joseph. It never took a minute or a space of time. Immediately after Obama, the new king came in and cut the aid for Africa. What amazing fulfillment of prophecy. Who bewitched you to reject God speaking through me? Who gives you the narratives that I'm speaking out of schizophrenia? You are bewitched. The power that you believe in, I want to tell you to say, I'm declaring it that it is defeated. As the snakes that Pharaoh made in challenging Moses' snake. Moses' snake ate up all the snakes of what? Of Pharaoh. And that showed victory. These prophecies that I'm reading in, they are eating up all the prophecies of other prophets that are trying to prophesy on Zambia. I recognize certain other prophets that are speaking truth about Zambia, but without formidable information. Because I cannot be the only one. Elijah thought that he was the only prophet. God told him that they are there in all these fallen institutions. They are still there prophets that have not bowed knee to bow. So I know that I'm not the only one. They are there who have even joined me in this 90 days prayer meeting. They are praying with me. They are still in the fallen system of SDA. They are still in the fallen system of Catholic Church. They are still there in all these other churches. Those who see things the way I'm seeing them. They are prophets. But they are fearing to go on Mount Carmel as Elijah did. They are fearing to come out in open the way I'm doing. They are there prophets. I urge them to join me in prayer. Don't fear. Zambia is not heading to any prosperity under HH. Zambia is captured. The country that is also captured partially is South Africa. If South Africa lose CYRIL RAMAPHOSA, and if South Africa can usher DA, they are gone. They will be captured in the same manner like Zambia, under the Vatican rule. If South Africa is clever enough, it is time that South Africa must vote for EFF, for Julius Malema. But unfortunately, the Zimbabwean, they went to usher in a petition to UN. They were complaining that they've been going to UN to seek UN intervention in this protest against foreigners who are actually the Blawayo people, the Zulu people of South Africa, who are in Matebele land. UN is quiet. UN does not say anything in protecting the Matebele people who are here in South Africa, to prove that South Africa is part of Zimbabwe. South Africa is part of Zambia. South Africa is part of Mozambique. South Africa is part of Botswana. South Africa is part of Namibia. South Africa is part of Africa. UN is quiet. UN is benefiting to these divisions. Why is it taking sides? Why can't UN come up and say, South Africa, keep quiet. You are one country. They are benefiting because a refugee from Zambia comes here, is also contributing money from Zambia. We are paying. I want to say it, that all refugees in South Africa, they are not achieving all the services of the hospital for free. All refugees are paying. It is a silent law that is not announced publicly. Don't be misguided. I'm saying prophecy is being fulfilled. When I was talking about the clergymen, otherwise I was talking about Edwin Sakala petitioning the Catholic. I talked about Malachi Martins, who actually says that nevertheless, let me say, I quoted Martin where he says, willing or not, we are all ready, we are all involved. Again, on this 2010 prophecy fulfillment, I quoted also Martin Malachi. What does he say? After quoting Sakala, who petitioned the Catholic Church, I said, when he says the current MMD is being attacked, appealing to the Pope for help, it was actually approval of the Pope's leadership on Zambia. Then I proceeded to say, the question is, why do Catholic priests take sides with politics? Then I said the answer is with Malachi Martins. Malachi Martins' revelations as a Jesuit. The previous Pope, Pope Francis, was a Jesuit, the same like Malachi Martins, who worked with the late John Paul II, exposed the hidden agenda for Catholics' move to rule the one world government. I said, nevertheless, he said, nevertheless, it is not too much to ask. Universal reason that all national, religious, and cultural groups modify their traits so that everyone, every nation, every religion, every culture can be accommodated as a division or subdivision of the future one world community. That is both the aim and the justification. So if Martin Malachi, who was assassinated for writing such truth, he says everything that is happening, all these agreements that are happening between nations, between churches, it's a universal reason to establish a culture that can accommodate one world government. Religious bodies have been modified. They have been grouped as Council of World Churches, of which SDA is a member of Babylon. Church mother bodies. Today I cannot register my ministry in Zambia without the approval of church mother bodies. And I don't think I qualify to go to America because I'm a critic of America. So this is all the modification of our culture. We are given conditions to visit these other countries. I want to tell you to say prophets must be fulfilled, and the fulfillment of prophets speaks a lot of volumes that there is a God in heaven. I'm reading The Keys of His Blood, page 294. Let me continue. 2011, Catholic Church to monitor 2011 pause. I explained to say this is a fulfillment of prophecy. I saw the Pope John Paul II currently identified. I said in 1990, I saw the Pope John Paul II currently identified to rule in the rule of Pope Benedict XVI, taking power from Dr. FDJ Chiluba MMD government. It started with the declaration of Zambia a Christian nation in 1991 by Catholic Church, and monitoring of the pause by Catholic Church is a sign of beckoning people to vote for the preferred candidate to make sure their agenda succeeds in order to establish a national Sunday law in support of globalization of state and church. I want to correct one thing here. When I was talking about national Sunday law, this is not a revelation, it's just a doctrine. There's no national Sunday law coming because Sunday is not the first day of the week. The national Sunday law already passed because it was established. It's a fourth day. Saturday is also a fourth day. So keeping Sunday and Saturday is this law which was already achieved. This is the only correction in my visions that can be done on the weekly cycle, which I'm continuously teaching because it's a correction. It was a doctrine or a dogma that I grew up with. God revealed to me that Sunday is not the first day of the week. it does not qualify in prophecy. Saturday is not the seventh day, does not qualify in prophecy. That's the only thing that can be modified in all my books, if you read. But the events depicted, they remain the same. This was actually confirmed in the Post newspaper, March 4, 2010. During the launch of the Caritas Zambia 2011 strategy, Father Komakoma said the Catholic Church would for the first time take part in the monitoring of elections. What does that mean? In the vision which I saw in 1999, where I saw the Pope beckoning people to say, vote for this, vote for this, vote for this, open palm. So, the first time Catholic monitoring election in 1990. In 2011, I said it was a confirmation that the Catholic wants to make sure that the elections are not rigged as they were rigged in 2001, so that UPND can become a winner. Until finally, 2001, 2021, 10 years later, UPND won the elections, and the Catholic has stopped condemning the injustice in what? In politics, because it is working to their agenda. 2010, Chiluba Acquittal under your influence, Mr. President, to save him from imprisonment against God's revealed word, has denied him an opportunity to enjoy God-given freedom or to spoil awarded to him by the court and live peacefully, as in the case of other former presidents around the world. This can be proved through what people have talked about Dr. Chiluba in the press as compared to other former president, Dr. Kaunda's legacy. Just to mention one, and the last cartoon that pictured Dr. Chiluba with the Bible. Cartoon that pictured Chiluba with Dr. FTJ Chiluba with the Bible in his hand, and the other hand with a briefcase of lies in the Post of Friday, the 17th June 2011 hours before his death. It spoke volume of his legacy. It said the white man came with the Bible and the gun on the other hand, and the politician came with the Bible and with lies on the other hand. This was Chiluba's farewell message from the Post. And what will be your farewell message to the legacy to your legacy, Mr. President? I was writing to the fourth Republican president, Lupia Bwezani-Banda. I said, my appeal to you, Mr. President, seek God now. And God is going to change the directions of your things in your leadership. And you will glorify him. And you will enjoy the fruits of your leadership, despite the death robbing you, the political partner. I have not spoken all in this letter. But if you need, I was supposed to use to say, if you want to hear more, then if I say, if you need my help to hear more, you are free to meet me anywhere, anytime. Thank you. God bless you. Your servant, the Most High God in heaven, Evangelist Alex Masuka, CC, former President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. You are still alive. NB, note, this letter must be read by President in full without fail. If anyone hinders it, he or she will face God's wrath. It was signed by Mwape Chishiba, 21/06/2011. So before I close this letter, I want to explain as my closing remarks to say, reading this letter from page 1 to page, is it page 7? Yes. To page 6. To page 5, sorry, to page 5. With only one correction of Sunday law, it makes me thank God for his inspiration. All what was written here is fulfilled even today. Hakainde Hichilema is preaching that is an elder of the church of the seventh day, but is holding a bag of lies on his side, the same way what Chiluba did. Lungu, who died, he declared Zambia a Christian nation. Lungu declared Zambia a Christian nation. On the other side, he was holding a bag of lies. What was the bag of lies? Sata declared Zambia a Christian nation. He declared to rule with the 10 Commandments. He was also holding a bag of lies on the other side. Lupia Banda, non-aggressive, non-talking, but he never believed in God's revelations and owning. He also died the same way with cancer, poisoning, political poisoning. I vowed to them to say, I'm ready because I've prayed for serious 2 cases of cancer since this ministry began. They were healed. I've prayed for people with HIV. They were healed. And when I write that God can heal HIV on my Facebook, they say, no, this post violates community rules. My God violates community rules, yes. Because that's truth. There are no HIV clinics in UK or America. No HIV counseling centers. Why? Because HIV in America is only found in the black community. Those, they know where to get their healing. They can mess up with the blacks, but they still get HIV, but they are healed. They cannot die from HIV. As long as a white person will tell you that to protect a child in the womb from contracting HIV, is telling you to say you are a fool. If one can block HIV from entering a child, that means he has a solution of healing. And today, we are told the medicine for healing is available, but they are making money using all those drugs from us on top of our natural resources. Chiluba's death was not supposed to be there if he listened to what God said. Two days before the death of Chiluba, my wife had a dream. He woke up and said, Mama, Daddy, I dreamt that someone cut Chiluba's heart into small pieces. And he put it on the plate. I said, what? Then I said, there's no life to Chiluba. And he died in the Red Sea. I want to say my house is a house of prophets. Me, I'm a messenger. There's nothing that happens to us without any one of us seeing it coming. There is no danger aimed to us that we are not ready for. If God can review to warn all these presidents in advance, what is it that he cannot tell you? Hakainde Chilem. I talked to you in 2008 when you called me yourself. You got the number because most of these letters I did CCC to you. I copied them to you. One of the letters that I was reading recently, 2 days ago, that was copied to you, is the letter to Manawasa, the open letter to Manawasa. This one, I did not even finish to read this letter, so that others might find the writing in the book. Where's the last page? Oh, give me that one. I just want to confirm that this letter was served to HH, on which I actually copied to him. So what I'm talking, before you comment and insult me, you must know that I'm not manufacturing things that I've not talked to Hakainde Chilema. No, this I thought this was the CC copy. Where is it? Okay, for the sake of clarity, I'll say that, where is it? It must be somewhere. Okay, sorry, I think I was just misplacing it. It's still here with me. Here it is. I listed in advance. This letter was 2007, 12th May 2007, before the death of Manawasa. Okay? I wrote this letter 2007 before the death of Manawasa, and I did like this. Former President Chiluba, former President Kaunda, former President Chiluba, Michael Sata. Here, the one who is not there is just Lupia Banda, who took over from who? From Chiluba. It was still under Chiluba. There is no change at all. It's the same government under Chiluba. The only change was the same MMD which broke to PF. It is the same the way the leadership is. So now we have Michael Sata here. And also LUNGU, he took over from Michael Sata. So this is a list of how the presidents of Zambia were. And it is until today. LUNGU comes in here under Michael Sata. So there is no change. This, what I've just said, is the same with Belshazzar and Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was a president who Daniel addressed to say, after you, there shall come another kingdom. But Nebuchadnezzar went for 7 years, got mad, and was restored back to his leadership. Belshazzar was also under the same government, meaning that there was no change. So now I'm simply saying, after PF SATA, UPND comes as follows here on this list. I want you to reflect this again. I'm simply saying SATA here, SATA and the LUNGU, they are one and the same people. Then UPND comes here, follows this leadership, and UPND is the last leadership of the 7 who are within the presidents, within these governments, the 7 presidents, and is the last. Vernon Mwanga is still alive, is a witness to this vision that I saw, okay? And Mavis Muyunda is the witness of this vision that I saw. So now, what is it that I'm trying to tell you is that the messages that I'm talking about, Hakainde Hichilema is truly informed and is aware. So, what is it that you have a question? I'm saying these boiling waters for CYRIL Ramaphosa, they can be avoided if they ask my God, can give them and pray for them. I've mentioned most of everything that is required for them to do. The only thing that they need is prayer. For EFF Malema to win the elections, I had a dream that I even put on my Facebook, that EFF will be president for South Africa. I had a dream. Even when I saw the Minister of Agriculture who went with, whether it's agriculture or whatsoever, who went with Ramaphosa, he says, we formed the alliance so that we can block this thing, in reference to Julius Malema, to go to Union Building. I said, can he challenge my God? Or what is needed to Julius Malema is Julius Malema to humble himself. I saved him with the 12 volumes of this book because I knew that is positioned for this time like this one. He must read them. And if he accepts, let him call me. I pray for him and he will succeed to seize this opportunity. Hakainde Hichilema, if you want to save himself from the fire that I saw, that we surrounded there, from death, he must humble himself and call me. I'll pray for him and change the style of governance. Because all what he's setting is whatever Chiluba said, it never changed Zambia's economy from that of Kaunda. It is worse. It was worse during his tenure of office. Mwanawasa tried to improve the government, but nothing changed. Here is SATA, is also gone. Nothing changed. Here is Hakainde Hichilema playing the same tricks of investors. It will never change anything. Those investors, they were brought by Chiluba. They have never changed anything in Zambia, but made Zambia to be poorer than it was during Kaunda. Today, South Africa is hoping to say the white man, when he rules, it will be better. It will be actually worse. They just give you grants in order for you to be sleeping in your homes without working, so that you think that the government is working. The government is not working. The economy is rotting every day. So let's join hands in prayers for Zimbabwe. DRC Congo is captured, and all other African countries, to pray for Ibrahim Traoré to be understood as the Moses of today. And the Julius Malemas and EF Kasonde Mwenda in Zambia must be the Joshuas. I pray that if there will be another person that can rise to partner with EF Kasonde so that the groundwork can be prepared, because PF has rejected the restoration that I saw of PF. This restoration, the manifesto must be rewritten in the EF government, because the PF government and the manifesto for EFF Julius Malema, they talk one and the same thing. So it doesn't matter who shall embrace God's call, he shall win the tender of God's protection. But if you go to State House without God's blessing, it will be your next grave on those graves that are open in Zambia. So Hakainde Hichilema, I'm forced, despite that you are one of the most stubborn president I've ever had, but because of God's revelation, I'm compelled to continue pleading for you, because the protection that I saw, that I was offering you when I was hit by a car, I came to sit next to you. It tells me to say, regardless of your stubbornness, I must continue praying for you. I must continue praying for you. Even if you are using the board of Edgar Lungu to campaign against the vision of the restoration of PF, don't worry. God is going to handle you in a manner that you are going to handle his message. Simple. If you handle this message in a good way, God is going to handle you in a good way. If you handle it roughly, you want to use the gun, you want to use poisons against me, you must know that it is done with you. May God bless you. May God bless CYRIL Ramaphosa. May God bless Taurai. I'm praying for you, Taurai, so that you can be protected from your enemies. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Amen.